What's up, guys? It's our Wrestling Podcast coming back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Just the Total Package and Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, the legacy of the Midnight Express. For audio fans,
Midnight Express,
on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And for video, check us out on YouTube at our Wrestling Channel, and look over to the left for several other options. And Jess would just love it.
I've never been on this app before. YouTube, two of you, but I don't like and subscribe. I don't get it. Maybe we just suck. That's fine. It's fair enough. I guess we just suck.
At O.W.P 2019.
Nobody cares.
I know. It's our wrestling podcast. It's fine.
It's fine.
It belongs to us. We love it. Why are we doing midnight? What's going on? What's the deal? What's happening? I don't know. Is it cheesy? Is it cheddary? I don't know.
Is it cheesy? Isosceles? I
just thought
this is probably like a no-brainer. They haven't been put in the Hall of Fame yet because people are like, oh, Cornette's really not friendly with the WWE, but Cornette would come a running if Midnight Express got put in the Hall of Fame. Cornette would be like, he would actually fly in a plane. And people, if you know that joke, he hates flying. He only drove from town to town. Midnight Express are one of the best tag teams of my generation, and I still think they're one of the best of all time. And the thing about them is the most of the time they were a heel, and their manager Jim Cornette really put them over. Like, really was one of the big reasons why. Bobby Eaton, regarded from a lot of workers as people will be like, who's the guy that you watch? Who's the guy that is the best worker in your opinion? And so many people are like Bobby Eaton. Like he was really, really good. And he was really excellent. No charisma, none. And no neck. But no, but he was so incredible in the ring. And you put him in a tag team in there with Dennis Condrey or Stan Lane, and then you have Jim Cornette as their manager. Like, they were unstoppable. Midnight Express were just as influential as anybody in the 80s, and they were one of the reasons why the Rock and Roll Express got over so well. You have to have a yin to your yang, heel to your face, whatever you want to do, and the Midnight Express was that team for the Rock and Roll Express. And Jim Cornette, like I said, I can't stress how great he is. Jim Cornette, one of the greatest managers of all time. And even Heenan, before he passed away, said, I think Jim's better than me, but and so Jim Cornette's one of, the top three. I think the trifecta is Paul Heyman, Jim Cornette, Bobby Heenan.
There you go. All right, let's start with the early 80s when they formed up and had their first version of the Midnight Express.
And they weren't, and by the way, the original Midnight Express did not have Bob Eaton, did not have Stan Lane, and did not have Jim Cornette.
Yeah, we got Dennis Condrey, who's the founder,
Randy Rose,
and later Norvell Austin. Yeah. This early trio works in the Southern Territories under the Midnight Express Southeast Championship Wrestling.
And Dennis Condrey created them. That was his idea. The Midnight Express. Mm-hmm. It was his name. The team name was his name, or his idea. Excuse me.
Yep. And then the Midnight Express moves on to the Mid-South in 1983, and Jim Cornette joins up. So that's reimagined as Condrey re-teams with Bobby Eaton in Mid-South, and then Jim Cornette later becomes their manager, adding heat and character. This is the version that launches the fame of the Midnight Express. This is where you start to see it. That famous tennis racket, right? I think you had it already at this point. That foreign object that Mr. Cornette would carry around. Good stuff. We jump into 84. They win the Mid-South Tag Team titles. They defeat Magnum TA and Mr. Wrestling 2.
I mean, the way their style was, the only thing, if you look at FTR now and watch them, and they just do stuff that other tag teams don't do, they really just make an art form out of it. Obviously, the Midnight Express is the closest to that kind of tag team now. But it was also a nod to this flippy shit that they do now. They were so fast, they were so crisp, and the way they would do kind of switcheroos and add in a heel manager. They were just amazing in their style way.
And Dennis Condrey doesn't get enough love. You're not going to see him in a Hall of Fame, unfortunately. And he's great. And he was really, people remember, Dave will get onto it. Everybody remembers Lane and Eaton. And but like Dennis Condrey was really fucking good. He was like a Tully Blanchard. It's like Anderson and Blanchard, they were the same. Like they understood like tag wrestling. They did shit to distract opponents, and it's smoke and mirrors. And then on the other side, some bullshit was going on, which would get the crowd to be like, "Fuck you, ref! Turn around! Fuck you!" Like, and that was like the emotion that when you're a heel tag team and you get that emotion out of the crowd, it's exactly what you want. And that's what the original Midnight Express did. And even with Lane when he would join, and then you add Jim Cornette, it's almost cheating. It's like a cheat code. Like there was no way the fans were going to want to absolutely jump the guardrail and fuck them up. Like, and that's the heat they created. And Dennis Condrey was a huge part. He shouldn't be underplayed. And if they ever go in the Hall of Fame, I'm sure they'll mention it, but like he should be featured as well, as far as the Midnight. And Randy Rose too, but Dennis Condrey was the guy who really conjured them up. Like he was really, really great.
Yeah. I said they won those Mid-South tag titles in March of '84. They got beaten back by the same team of Magnum and Mr. Wrestling 2 in July of the same year. But then they beat them back again. They regained those Mid-South titles on August 6, 1984. And then they end up dropping those in September to the Rock and Roll Express. And that starts that hot feud. With the Rock and Roll Express really escalates from there. Yeah, those guys are no good.
They're trying to get rid of Robert Gibson. Now they're going for their coup de grace on Ricky Martin. Ricky kicked free. He's got him. Ricky Martin's got the guy pinned. Who's the legal man? Robert Gibson has just suplexed Bobby Eaton off the top rope. Bobby That's it. You have new Mid-South Tag Champions.
We've got new champions.
They moved to Jim Crockett Promotions, a.k.a. the NWA. When they move in '85, they feud with the Rock and Roll Express that carries on a national level. Oh, yeah, this is fantastic stuff.
But the two expresses, the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express, the battle of the name Express. I don't know why Express is so important, but they fought over it. It's important.
I mean,
sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Years, right? Just years doing the circuit.
Even with Condrey and Eaton, like before Lane even got there, they were battling the Rock and Roll Express.
This is a neat little, I don't want to call it a blip. I think it's a little bigger than a blip. But in mid of '86, Big Bubba Rogers is their bodyguard. Big Bubba, better known by most of us as the Big Boss Man. Jim Cornette brings him in as the muscle and security for the Midnight Express during feuds, especially against Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA, used as that ringside enforcer. That's kind of cool. You know, a lot of people probably wouldn't think, most of us just saw Boss Man when he came to WWF. That's what we saw.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a very good point, Dave, actually, because people do. I mean, WWF does such a good job at like marketing these over-the-top characters. We forget that he was Big Bubba, and then when he went back to WCW in '95, he became Big Bubba again. Well, he was Guardian Angel first, but then he became Big Bubba. So, I mean, he went back in '94, but he changed back to Big Bubba. So there's heritage there. Big Bubba started not just in the '95 WCW because they didn't know what to do with Ray Traylor. He was Big Bubba Rogers as the bodyguard for Jim Cornette, and I don't remember why somebody kept trying to attack Jim Cornette, and so he hired a bodyguard. Of course, you have a tag team that should be able to protect you, but he's like, I need more. And he goes and gets Big Bubba. And Dusty Rhodes was a big proponent of bringing Big Bubba in. He loved Ray Traylor.
And in the finish, and I did the same thing with Bubba because he didn't know how to do anything. The opponents didn't know how to do anything. Well, let me rephrase that. He had no experience with doing anything. One morning, Bubba said, how about if I shoot Randy Mulkey off, and when he comes at me, I catch him around the chest, and he kicks his legs out, and I just kind of drive him down. I'm like, yeah, do that. And he wasn't even wrestling then. It was because Randy Mulkey was getting beat up by the Midnight Express, and he rolls out on the floor, and I'm taunting him, and Randy shoves me down. And to illustrate that Bubba will destroy anybody that touches me, Bubba then snaps, grabs him, throws him in the ring, shoots him off, gives him the Bubba slam. He lays there unconscious. We lose the match by disqualification, whatever, but it got Bubba over.
This is a little cringeworthy as well. In '87, Condrey just exits, and it seems like we don't know why. Dennis Condrey leaves Jim Crockett Promotions really without any kind of notice, and that forces Cornette and Eaton to replace him, and that's where Stan Lane comes in '87. Sweet Stan Lane, formerly of the Fabulous Ones, joins Eaton, giving birth to the most famous Midnight Express duo. This is where we all really started to see them. I think it's
There.
and this might be wrong as well. It says in May of '87, this is the first U.S. Tag Team Championship with Eaton and Lane. It's their first reign.
No, that's I think that is correct.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. They win the vacant NWA United States Tag Team titles there, and then they lose those to the Fantastics on May of same year. Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers.
Tommy is poised. You're just waiting for the right moment.
Take care of them for the belts. Then July 10th of '88, they actually win those bad boys back.
And another feud that should not be underplayed, the Fantastics against the Midnights, was fucking awesome. Joe turned me on to Crockett's NWA. And like he really showed, the U.S. tag titles are awesome. It's like the Intercontinental Championship in WWF. Like it's, you have a tag team champions, like which are going to be like a bigger tag team, and then you're going to have like these workers that like fucking fight for the U.S. I always loved the U.S. Tag Team Championships. I loved it. I loved that title. I thought it was awesome.
It would be cool.
Back in the day when they actually put fucking stock in a tag team division, you had two fucking titles. Like, there's a few things that WCW or NWA did better than WWF. One was the TV championship, and the other one was the U.S. tag titles. I loved them. Love both of them.
100% right. Here we go. 1988 starts to get a little bit fun. They get into the World Tag Team Championship scene. So on September 10th of same year, Eaton and Lane, who are currently the U.S. Tag Champs, defeat Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard for the NWA World Tag Title.
That's when Arn and Tully left. They went to WWF after that.
That's right. They it's funny though. They lose them as quickly as they get them. We're talking like a little over a month later. They lose the World Tag Titles to the Road Warriors, and the NWA rules force them to vacate the U.S. Tag Titles because they held both at the time.
Chad.
Nothing in a month.
What do you say? There's a picture of them holding both belts. Chat GPT, you fuck.
And we get into a nice little twist here in 88 to 89. We got the feuds with the original Midnight Express. So in late 87 into 88, the original Midnight Express actually arrives. Condrey reunites with Randy Rose and the AWA.
Paul
and
Heyman.
The original
with Paul Heyman.
Midnight Express. Paul E. Dangerously, that's right. And they later come to NWA to feud with Eaton and Lane's version. And then we get the Starrcade 88 and the Chi-Town Rumble, super famous.
I don't remember that, but that's very cool. It sounds very cool. I mean, I've seen Chi-Town Rumble, but I don't remember this.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then I want to say...
And then the match that everybody's been talking about for 7 weeks. The match that means everything to me, to Randy, and to Dennis, as well as to Jim Cornette and his men. Starrcade 88, True Grit, the Midnight Expresses will clash. And just remember one thing, Jim Cornette. You can come out here and insult us all you want. Oh, Dennis is this! Oh, Randy's a moose with a hernia! I'll give you credit. You're a great manager. The reason you're a great manager is because you traveled the roads with these two gentlemen for 3 years, and you listened, and you learned, and you wrote down everything that they had to teach you. That's why you're a great manager. And Bobby and Stan, you are the second greatest tag team in the world today. Remember a couple things, though. I came out here 7 weeks ago and I said, I am obsessed with your demise. And I beat you up on
God, Condrey, did he leave again or Rose left again or whatever?
Where was Randy Rose to begin
leaves,
with?
Yeah.
Why did Rose take
leaves,
like 10 years
Rose
off?
leaves and it cuts the feud short. Like, the feud didn't get a chance to really go to the end or whatever, which Cornette would have eventually won with Eaton and Lane. But like they, to Dave's point, Rose left again, right? Yeah. Rose left again, yeah.
Yeah, Rose left. And then they go back to the U.S. title runs. In March of 89, the NWA tag titles are back on them. It's the third set with the Eaton and Lane reign. And they defeated the Fantastics again. It's pretty cool. They lose those in April. It's like so fast.
Fantastics are like, fuck! Like every time.
Yeah, so they
Fantastic
funny,
win the U.S.
sources-
titles.
we
Like,
don't even know-
what
we don't know
do
who
we
beat
do
them
next?
because it's
And
not
like, you're going to fight
televised.
Midnight Express. Fuck! Like, and they just lose the Midnight Express.
Right. So, oops. Went a little too far here. So they win them back in 1990. They defeat Tom Zink and Brian Pillman. There you go. Starting to see some names that are a little more familiar to those when we started to watch wrestling at those times.
Keep your eye on Eaton. Eaton came off on top of Z-Man. Eaton came off on top of Z-Man. That's going to give the champions the victory.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are your winners and still the new United States Tag Team Champions, the team of the Midnight Express.
Cornette had the referee distracted. I think you'll see on the replay what happened. Cornette had positioned the referee perfectly away from the action.
At those times. And then they lose those tag titles to the Steiners.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Taking a Steiner line, taking the belts from Eaton and Lane there in April of 1990. And then we're running into the end of the kind of like the classic era. So unfortunately or fortunately, but depending on story, Eaton and Lane actually split in October.
Yeah,
of
it was Jim.
1990.
It was Jim Hurd. So when Jim Hurd took over WCW, he laid it low for a year, and then I guess he really harassed Cornette. He was like, "What's your guys make?" And he's like, "Well, they make this amount. You know, Eaton makes this much, and Lane makes this much. We need to cut that in half. You guys were a tag team." And Cornette's like,
come on.
like fuck you. Like, yeah, Hurd came in there. Hurd's biggest thing when he came in was not only let's copy WWF for their shitty gimmicks, but because he thought that's all that wins, you know, the attention of the fans is like, he's like, we're paying all, and okay, listen, on the surface, on the surface, I get why somebody from the outside who doesn't know anything about wrestling comes in and goes, wait a minute, so you're dying, right? This company's dying? Yes. Okay. Who do we have? We have all these big names, these veterans, Flair, Midnight Express, Road Warriors. How much you paying them? Holy shit, why? Well, because they're Ric Flair, the Road Warriors, and Midnight Express. Yeah, but I mean, they're not moving the needle. We're losing more money, actually. Every year we're declining and all that stuff. And he didn't know wrestling, so he didn't get its storylines and its, you know, they need to book better. So he's like, well, why would I pay them more? That's why he chased Flair for so long. Cut your hair. Come Spartacus, all this bullshit,
Spartacus,
you know, all this stuff or whatever.
Story,
if Road Warriors want to leave, let them go. We're paying Hawkins almost so much money. Let him go. Fuck him. Like, and he didn't understand that, and that's what happened to the Midnights. Like, he got with Cornette, and he was like, "You and your guys make way too much money."
In all of this time frame, if I'm not mistaken, they lose the Midnights. They obviously also lose the Road Warriors.
Well, they lost Cornette and Lane. And then Eaton's like, I have to stay. He had a wife and kid at the time or whatever, and they're like, okay, like, you know. So Eaton stayed.
But
for
you
a while.
eventually you lose the Midnights because of it. It's gone. So
The team. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah.
And then soon after that, you're losing. I believe the Road Warriors took off right after that, and they became Legion of Doom somewhere in that realm too.
Yeah.
So, and then Flair was gone. What, 2 years later?
Yeah, Flair left in '91.
Well, so it was actually a year later.
Yeah.
Because he left in 91, but he won the title in 92.
Yes.
At the Royal Rumble.
No, yes.
That's why 92 is in my head. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, think about everything that dude just took to shit. Like all that talent is gone. That's wild.
Because he thought they were actors and actresses, which they are. But like, yeah, he just thought like, oh, we're just going to replace them with other things, and it's like it doesn't work that way. Not in wrestling.
Right.
Yeah. Because
you can't make any actor or actress a stuntman too. You just can't do it. It's ridiculous. All right. Well, let's go to some more fun stuff. We got Connecting with the Heavenly Bodies in 1993. So after the original Midnight Express dissolved in 90, both Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane continued working in tag teams and regional promotions. In Smoky Mountain Wrestling in 93, the Heavenly Bodies.
Which, by the way, Jim Cornette he started Smoky Mountain. Jim Cornette started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He started Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and he managed the Heavenly Bodies with Pritchard and Jimmy Del Rey, making him the top heel tag team there. Jim Cornette, longtime manager of Eaton and Lane, he was now managing the Heavenly Bodies, and that directly transferring the Midnight Express tag's psychology, that teamwork, heel tactics, manager interference.
And Stan Lane came in there and helped out them, and Eaton was the third guy. They did 6-man, and they borrowed Eaton from WCW at the time because WCW tried to do a partnership for a while. They even gave Arn Anderson to Smoky Mountain. So Eaton went over and was like the third guy. They did 6-man matches, and he joined the Heavenly Bodies, which was, obviously managed by Jim Cornette. So the lineage, Jim Cornette said, my vision was to recreate the Midnight Express because Lane left and then Eaton was in WCW. Then I started working with WCW, and I'm like, bring Eaton over here. And so it's like the Heavenly Bodies are like the sister of Midnight Express, basically.
Big man, big vice president, big cowboy Bill Watts. You got a problem with the phones, huh, at CNN, huh? You got a problem with the telephones? You don't want to talk to Jim Cornette? I walked out on this stinking company for less than you. Let me tell you something. I got a problem, and I'm going to explain this. Matter of fact, I'll tie one half of my brain behind my back where we'll be even, okay? I walked out of here and so did Stan Lane 2 years ago because the people that run this crummy, stinking company tried to make the Midnight Express look like a bunch of idiots. I hated Jim Herd with a pea-purple passion, and I ain't too warm on you. We left. We took and we found Dr. Tom Pritchard, and we formed another tag team, the Heavenly Bodies, and we went to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, where they appreciate wrestling talent, and we became the tag team champions of Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Basically.
Right. Yeah, and Stanley would make occasional appearances there in '93, sometimes assisting the Heavenly Bodies in storylines. Bobby Eaton, while not a permanent member, he was referenced in commentary quite a bit. So it kind of carries into that legacy with the Bodies, with their in-ring work. It was kind of like good comparisons to that. So, it's good company to be in. The Heavenly Bodies feud with Rock and Roll Express and SMW was a direct homage to the classic Midnight Express versus Rock and Roll Express rivalry, which maintained the storyline structure perfected by Eaton, Lane, and Cornette.
Did they borrow that match for a Survivor Series pay-per-view?
Yes. No, Craig. Yeah, I was just going to say that, Craig. Yes, they borrowed it for Super Brawl 3, and then they also borrowed it for Survivor Series 93. So both in the same year, Jim Cornette kind of hoarded out like that feud to both WCW and WWF. Yes, you are correct.
I remember watching the WWF version. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
Come on, ref. Oh, the guys in the ring.
A miscalculation by the challengers, and the Rock and Roll Express, after that early setback, looking very, very crisp here. Double Irish whip. And here comes Dr. Tom. Not too desirous right now.
Oh, it's sandwich time. Monkey flip out of the corner for one.
And the other.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
I thought you might say that.
Sorry.
Or for the turkey, for that matter.
For the turkey, indeed.
We're going to do a little, we're going to row the boat here. We're going to sail the 7 seas. Shades of Gilligan's Island here. Where's the skipper when you need him?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
And Bobby Eaton passed away, and there's two types of wrestling fans. There's one that, remembers the Rocks and the Hogans and the Austins, and that's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
And then there's another wrestling fan that remembers like the Eatons and the Andersons, and I'm not trying to, I don't mean that in a negative way anyway. Like everybody plays a role. Like not everyone's going to be a Stone Cold or a Rock or Hogan. Not everyone can be that. Like you have like this, but then you have these wrestlers that really are workers, and you have the Andersons, the Eatons. I'm not even doing it justice. Stan Lane to a certain extent. And you have tons of other great workers like Hennings and Rudes and, all these people that time can easily swallow them up and forget them. And I mainly wanted to do this episode because of the fact that like Stan Lane and Eaton, especially Eaton, are just two of the best workers ever. And so is Jim Cornette, by the way. And this tag team lit up the 80s. Like there's a handful of people out there that would be like, man, I was around in the South, or I was around, in Cornette. And I remember Rock and Rolls and Midnights. Midnight Express were tag team champions. Like they were everything. They weren't the Road Warriors when they were tag team champions. They weren't tag team champions for long. But I mean, like the fact that Jim Cornette was able to be like, dude, we're going to collect these titles. You're going to be U.S. champions and World Tag Team champions. And Bobby Eaton, to this day, people were like, CM Punk recently did a interview, one of those little interviews on social media where they real quick, give me your most underrated, give me your favorites, give me whatever. And I don't remember what the topic was. And he was like, Bobby Eaton. is like one of the most underrated, underappreciated guys ever. Like, he's amazing. And I think a lot of pro wrestlers would say Bobby Eaton. They don't publicize it because you can't make a DVD out of that, but you can, listen to these.
Can't make a DVD out of it. A lot of people, unfortunately, a lot less people are continuing to remember it.
Dusty Rhodes loved Bob Eaton, loved him so much that every time Rhodes became Booker of WCW, he's like, he put the TV title on Eaton. Eaton beat Anderson. And they were best friends.
He's a tremendous placeholder between the next person you want to get into.
Yeah, and they all
everybody has that kind of role to play.
Stan Lane was good too. Stan Lane was fucking awesome too. And they're in. We didn't talk about the introduction where Jim Cornette would introduce, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan Lane, the Midnight Express, and he'd do some the greatest tag team champions this side of the Mississippi, or whatever. And then Stan Lane would always grab the mic and be like, and don't forget the greatest wrestling manager ever, Jim Cornette. And then Jim Cornette would get on there and swing his thing. They just were amazing together. They were
just having a great time.
Synergy was fucking awesome. One of the greatest tag teams ever to ever do it.
Yeah. And it's a shame because I think a lot of us never got a chance to see it because of the restrictions is the best way to put it, because we all know Vince kind of had a chokehold on national television and everything else. There was kind of cable syndicate on the East Side, and unless you had a satellite that Jess could turn up, well, you couldn't see it, and then you had to get cable later to kind of see it, which a lot of us didn't have because.
And they never had a moment to where they had they never jumped to WWF and had Vince give a shit about tag teams at that time and actually put the machine behind them and what he could have done with the story writing and getting the best out of them and putting them up against Rougeaus and Bulldogs and Hart Foundation. So you never really saw that. In fantasy booking, imagine what could have happened.
Yeah.
But Vince hated that Southern style. He probably saw nothing really in him.
And he didn't.
Although Stan had a better body than Bobby.
Exactly, he didn't like their physique too, Craig. To your point.
But who knows? They could have. I mean, Bobby obviously excelled at everything that was given to him.
He just copied them. The Rockers, even though they did start in the AWA, the Rockers were a copy of the Rock and Roll and the Midnight Express. Their name was,
and they were younger. And
their name was, by the way, the Midnight Rockers.
Right.
They just completely ripped them off. So
copy of a copy.
Vince got the Rockers, and he's like, just cut it to the Rockers. Like that. I got my team. I got two teams for the price of one. Look at me. I'm Vince McMahon.
I love it. For audio fans, give us a listen to Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And for video, check us out on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. And please give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019. For Jess, Craig, and myself, this is the O.W.P. Signing off. Have a good one.